Hello YouTube, OwnSoldier86 back here. We're going to take a look at this long pole texture, and we're going to create a new material. And we're going to find that pole that we had, pole 1. We're going to open it. And we talked last time about how it had not, Google SketchUp had not accounted for the sizing of these pixels correctly. So we're going to make sure that it's going to measure as 200 by 200 in Google SketchUp, 200 meters. And we're going to paint, and that looks much better than what we had before. Okay, and we can make this as long as we want because this texture is tessellated. So frankly, we don't even need to keep within confines of the 200, 400, 800, whatever. As long as we have our textures tessellated correctly, we can make this as long as we want. However, if we start expanding widthwise, we can see now that we're going to start getting some tessellations that expand to the right, and we will see these seams start to show up, which is not what we want. So we're going to make this, let's see, I have kind of messed up how long I want this now after messing with it. There we go. So I like how this looks. Now, one of the issues is we had created a separate texture for just the top of the pole. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make this a component and dump it off to the side a little bit. Right there is fine. Because now what I want to do is make just a little chunk for the top. 100, 200. And we'll make it 200 deep. And find that material, which is pole 2. Okay. It is accounted for correctly, 200 by 200. Okay. All right. And if I create a component just for this little part, we can very nicely stack this right on top. And from the side, that doesn't look too bad, although we did not get this. By the way, if we have a component, we will need to double click on it in order to adjust any textures that we need to fix. So you can see that we move into a component mode here. It's focused on just one component when you double click on it. And if you want to focus away from it again, you can just click off that component. It'll bring you back to the main screen. This is important to remember too, because if you are moving things around and whatever, and you get confused, it's like, oh man, I don't like how this texture looks. You will need to remember that you have to, you go over here to try to paint it. And sometimes it'll work and sometimes it won't. So double clicking on this will allow you to paint that specifically. Now, one of the issues is, and this is the reason why I had an issue with making this particular texture, was because it looks wonderful from a side perspective, but if you look from the top, it does not look great. And what we would have had to have done is we would have had to create a texture that would fit the top as well. And I'm not convinced about how that looks. It doesn't look very good from the top angle. And, as often as we see floors in Super Smash Brothers, I'm just not convinced that that's going to sell very well for anyone that's looking at it. So we're going to get rid of it. We don't have to use the textures that we have created. It would be nice if we could use them all, but we don't have to. So to round this out, I'm going to use the original texture. And now we have ourselves a pole that will look just fine. And also thinking about the application of what you might use this pole for, well, maybe we don't need to worry about the top. Maybe what we can do is just take this item over here and dump it on top of the pole, like so. And now we don't even need to have had that texture on the top there because all it's doing is connecting these two pieces together. So this is the kind of thing you want to be experimenting a little bit with in Google SketchUp. In the next few videos, we're going to talk about layout and how that's going to be affecting the different pieces and materials that we make in here and how we can start laying these out to make ourselves a competent level.